And a very good Friday afternoon to all of you. Welcome in the Chico Borman Show here on the Big Play Sports Network as you have made it to the weekend. Well, close anyway. I mean, who's going to notice if you go to lunch and then just never come back? You know? I mean, come on.
Right there, Chico. We're on the precipice.
Boom, you like to say that word, don't you?
I do love that word.
Yeah, you do.
It's right up there for me.
Yeah. You're still trying to figure out some of the other words, but precipice is...
That's one I've definitely figured out.
You got a firm lock on that one. That's good. Boom, how you doing today? Good?
It is Friday, Chico.
It is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday.
So, you know, there's always a bit of extra optimism.
Boom, I'm just curious. Are you... we'll get into this a little bit with Edom because, oddly enough, his Eric Edom from NFL Network is going to join us at 12:15. But his alma mater, Missouri, is playing the Buckeyes. But the storyline or the transfers, they lost Jonathan Seaton to Colorado, to Dion, and that was a guy that was their number one recruit.
That was a huge get for...
The other thing is Jeremiah Smith.
Visiting Florida State?
Yeah, I mean...
Not totally shutting the door on leaving one day?
That would be a knockout. I don't say a knockout punch, but that would be a 1-2 that I think would stagger Ryan Day and those in Columbus if it went Seaton goes with Dion and Jeremiah Smith decides he's gonna flip. And I mean, he keeps saying no, I'm a Buckeye, and I think this is where I feel good about having Brian Hartline because I think these guys do fall in love with Hartline as they should. But, I mean, things haven't been going your way, and sometimes in business and football and life, when it rains, it pours. And I don't know. It's like something you got to keep your eye on. But, yeah, anyway, we'll talk to Eric at home. We won't be breaking down Ohio State, Missouri, but we will be talking plenty of NFL. A lot of stuff going on. Thank you to Pittsburgh. How about those Steelers, baby? Somewhere I got to believe that Matt Canada had his feet up last night smoking a stogie with some bourbon and just going, yeah, it's all me. And it was a lot him. But, these last two games, their offense has been pathetic. Now, is that Kenny Pickett's out? Is it all that because, now Mitch Trubisky's in and that was, ooh. But, 4th and 2, and they're throwing 30 yards downfield? Wow. I mean, I always think, and I still do, that any talk about Mike Tomlin getting canned is a bit ridiculous, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the guy wins, and the only reason I say I don't know is because the fire is definitely, that seat is hot because people are making it hot in Pittsburgh. On the outside looking in, I don't think we're looking at it going, oh, geez, you got to get rid of Mike Tomlin. My God, he hasn't done anything. No, it's not that at all, but, getting rid of Matt Canada, and that was Mike Tomlin's call. He said as much. It was supposed to cure a lot of what ails you, and that hasn't happened. Now, again, Kenny Pickett being out, I don't know. I just know that they're in a bit of a frenzy in the Steel City. Now, we in Cleveland, and this is what I love about Cleveland fans, we would never take any sort of satisfaction in the misery of others. Right, Bohm?
Well, not always, Chico.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to see if you were even paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah. We would not, by no way, no how, would we take any satisfaction, any kind of joy in seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers struggle. And with that loss, that dropped them to 7-6. They lost to New England. Now, 10 years ago, it was like, well, I mean, hey, was that the AFC Championship game? Was that a preview? This is New England, who just improved to 3-10. Bailey Zappi. You got zappied. Wow. I mean, I didn't see that coming. Look, we've seen it. We've talked about it many times all season, any given Sunday, and God knows it's played out this year in the NFL. But not in a million years did I see New England beating Pittsburgh. Even with that, I know people are saying, well, they did have their backup quarterback, and while we love Mitchell Trubisky being from Northeast Ohio, he's not going to knock your socks off or anything. I didn't see that coming. I'm not saying I thought that, the Steelers would just take the Patriots behind the woodshed, but I sure as hell didn't think it would just be like, wow, I don't know. They just looked inept. They looked inept offensively. They looked inept defensively. Again, the play calling 4th and 2. Like what? I mean, everybody, even diehard Steeler fan trying to justify everything they do was like, what? What are we doing? Why did we? Why did we try to throw the ball downfield there? Interesting. Very, very interesting. But the Browns, if I saw this right, now they move from the 7 seed to the 5 seed with that Pittsburgh loss. Obviously, they still got to take care of their own business. It looks like Trevor Lawrence is going to play. We talked to Dan Lobby yesterday with Cleveland.com, and he said, something just tells you it is December, and he's been on the practice field. He's going to give it a go. He is a tough dude, no doubt about that. He's had, knee injuries where you thought, okay, he's not coming back, and he comes back and he plays. So I just, when we first saw that injury, and again, keeping in mind that injury to his ankle, his right ankle, took place on Monday night. So he's on a short week to begin with. Now, how effective he's going to be, I mentioned that being his right leg, and that being his plant foot, could be very, very critical. In addition to, and the Browns, look, if you look at the last 3 games, quarterbacks being able to run, and this is always an X factor. So it's not like the Browns are the only team that, if you got a quarterback that can run, that can give you some problems. It happens all the time. But the Browns have had their issues. Now, all of a sudden, if Trevor Lawrence, who is very mobile when healthy and very athletic and very big for a guy as athletic as he is at 6'6", if he is limited, advantage Browns. Joe Flacco is going to start for the Browns. No big surprise there. Great news there. I still don't know. I'd really like to know about Myles Garrett. Like, I want the truth. I know they don't want to give it to us, and they don't have to give it to us, and that's fine. Keep Jacksonville guessing. But, like, when they come out and say, Jim Schwartz does, no, he's fine. It was just, the game plan. They got the ball out quick, and Myles wasn't really able to do his thing. Because, the guy was reduced to a third down specialist, essentially, pass rush specialist, and that's not Myles. So, you almost don't really know where to go with that. We won't know until Sunday. But these are very important games. I will say with that loss that Pittsburgh had, and look, you're in control of your own destiny. Obviously, if the Browns were to win out, I think 12 wins is getting them in. But the thing we've been debating of late has been, is this going to be, 9 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins? Now, maybe 9 or 10 is looking like, I still think 10 is the number. I was kind of with Nick Shook on Tuesday, like 11 you felt safe, and 11 would be they win 4 out of 5. But now, some dominoes fall, maybe 10, you're comfortably there, and that would allow them to lose a couple down the stretch. Again, they've got 5 left to go, but we'll see. Cavaliers are in action as well. They are in South Beach tonight. Welcome to Miami. I love that song, man. Will Smith, Welcome to Miami is a great tune.
Bienvenido a Miami.
Thank you, Bo. Do you like that song, Bo?
It's catchy. I had that Will Smith CD when I was a youngin'.
How long has that thing been out?
90s, definitely 90s. I don't know specifically when in the 90s, but
no,
yeah.
Miami was a little bit later than that.
Hold on, I'll find out.
Yeah, you've got to find out on that because I'm thinking that Miami. Now Will Smith and songs, yeah, that came out in the. He's been around for a while, but I don't think Welcome to Miami was in the 90s. I mean, that would have been
1997, Chico. November 25th is when the album dropped.
I was getting ready to watch the Rose Bowl. It was November 27th?
25th.
Yeah, so that was right after Ohio State lost to Michigan.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Wow, I did not realize that. I mean, I always feel old, but that just made me feel even older.
Hashtag 90s nostalgia.
Yeah. 90s were pretty good. 90s was a good time.
One of my favorite eras of music ever, Chico.
Really? Why is
Oh,
that?
yeah. Grunge primarily.
Grunge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, was Pearl Jam considered grunge?
I would lump them in with grunge, yes.
Well,
I consider them to be one of those bands.
In the 90s, yeah, I loved Pearl Jam.
Oh.
I still do. I mean, but
I saw them
10,
live.
You had
10 was the greatest debut album of all time, in my opinion. Some might say Guns N' Roses or Led Zeppelin 1. But yeah, to me, 10,
our buddy,
perfect from top to bottom.
Our buddy Johnny Soccer from the gym is we don't agree on many things, but we agree on that with Pearl Jam. Like that's one of the best albums ever, and it's definitely their best. I don't think any Pearl Jam fan can argue that that's not their best. But 10 was incredible.
Yeah,
Even flow.
Oh, my favorite song to play on drums is Even Flow. The
Really?
way that the hi-hat trickery that he does on it, it's just so it's so good, Chico.
Did you just give a chef's kiss there?
Yes.
All right.
For Even Flow, come on, it's warranted.
Yeah. Yeah, Pearl Jam was great. 90s was pretty good. Dave Matthews for me.
Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. A lot of people love Nirvana.
I'm just thinking about like TGs. You know what TGs were in
Yeah,
college.
yeah.
Right.
I was in a fraternity.
So like TGs, the parties on Friday nights you'd have a sorority over or whatever, and you'd go down to the basement and drink and act like idiots, basically. But whenever, Pearl Jam was always a good one, but there were certain songs, Breakfast at Tiffany's, when that song came on, they'd usually go nuts. Dave Matthews Band, as soon as the first they knew it was Answer Marching, they'd start screaming.
That's so wild because nowadays it's just like straight like rap.
Yeah.
Or Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. That song was blasting in every fraternity house.
Snoop was still like, What's My Name with Snoop would be Ed Holmes says, tell your guy to send me the passcode. It's not letting me in. Oh, boom.
Oh. New developments.
Oh. See, this is... Why do I have to deal with this? I was feeling good. He needs a passcode?
I see a passcode. I don't know why. That's a new thing, but I see it. I'll send it to him.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we want to. Security's very tight here. We are at an airport. You know what I mean? Just play it off like that. I'll have to ask Ed Home about that because we're like in the same wheelhouse. And at Missouri, I'm sure they partied their asses off. Let's see if. Sorry, folks. I'm just trying to.
Make up for my mistakes.
Yeah, it's all right, Bohm. It's all right. I don't even know if it was your fault. Like you said, I'm just going with the fact that it's This is very secure, and that's why you can't get in. But yeah, those '90s parties. And then you always had the standbys that you could count on. Come On Eileen. Whenever Come On Eileen would come on, they'd go nuts.
That's just wild because that never would have happened when I.
Like for you, it did. Oh my God! Come On Eileen. It would YMCA. Now, Hang On Sloopy that still stands the test of time.
You know, the classic one in my fraternity was Shout by the Isley Brothers.
I like Shout. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that one, I feel like that was a tradition in my fraternity because of Animal House, of course, naturally.
Yeah, that was a good Brown song. Municipal. They do Wooly Bully too at the old stadium.
Oh, I love that one.
Wooly Bully, Wooly Bully, and I mean. The time they'd play it usually was like in the fourth quarter, and everybody was just where we were at in the pound. Everybody was just hammered, baked, whatever. And they're like, bully, bully, falling over. All right. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to hook up with Eric Edholm. Did you break the code, Bohm? Were you able to?
I'm typing up the email as we speak.
Okay. Do we get him on Zoom, or are we doing We're doing Zoom. Okay. All right. I thought we were going to be scot-free today. That's all right, though. It happens. By the way, speaking of the Cavs in Miami, which is how this whole thing got started, Will Smith, Cavs are favored in this game. And not that they're as good or maybe even better a team than Miami, but on the road, I was a little bit surprised with that the Cavaliers are favored. And I thought they would be like maybe a point or two underdog, but I think it's +3. So, all right. We're still waiting on here. Boom. I'll tell you what. Why don't you use this?
Well, I sent it.
I know, but the text message,
I just sent it.
You just sent it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was scheduled for 12:30.
12:15.
Oh, okay. Well, he's joining now.
What? Why did you? You're kidding me. You thought he was 12:30?
I mean, I still would have gotten set up for him the same way anyway.
Well, why'd you say I thought he was 12:30?
I just forgot, Chico. It was a brain fart.
Come on, Bohm. Damn it. All right. So now he made it through customs, okay? Eric Edholm, NFL.com, NFL Network. Eric, just wanted to let you know, we broadcast the studios here at Big Play are at Burke Lakefront Airport. And we can't hear him, Bohm. He's just, if we could see. Got him up.
You're saying he can't hear us?
Yeah. Or I can't hear. I don't know. Da, 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 da.
Test. You guys got me?
We got Edholm. There we go. All right.
Hey, all right. I think it was on my end. We have all kinds of problems. They're mostly my fault, I think.
No. We just blame Bohm whenever that stuff happens. It's okay. So anyway.
You got to fire somebody today, Chico. What's going on?
Heads are going to roll. So we're at Burke Lakefront Airport. So these are very, very strict ways to get aboard the Chico Borman show. So Eric, you should feel very, very fortunate that you're one of the few, and I know you do. Okay, first of all, great to have you on. Let me start with this. So last night, watching New England and Pittsburgh. And to be honest with you, my plan was, I have to bring up the Steelers and kind of what's going on there, the angst about Tomlin. But not in a million years, I really didn't think that we'd be talking about, and I'd be asking you this question on the heels of the Steelers losing to New England, who just improved to 3-10. So do you think this angst and this narrative about Tomlin maybe being on the hot seat is real, or is it just, you know what, calm down, folks, this guy's been here before, he'll stick around?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I'm shocked you watched, but thank you. That's good, right? I mean, this is football. I know that, but I didn't think many people would. Obviously, it ended up being a pretty interesting game. But yeah, I mean, it was funny. You texted me this week and said, "Here's what we want to talk about," and Tomlin, sort of his situation. And the day before, I had talked to somebody in the league. Not with a team, but very involved in the league, and they have Pittsburgh ties and kind of brought up the idea that Mike might be feeling a little heat. And I thought, and this is before Thursday, this is before the game last night. And so I kind of thought, wow, really? I mean, geez, you go from 2006 to present day without a losing season. I think you've built up some kind of credibility. Then again, we've obviously seen the Bill Belichick dynasty, crumble in the last sort of 3 years, I would say. But with Tomlin, I mean, the Steelers, you just think about the organization back to 1969, three head coaches, just the stability of the group and the patience of the organization. But I suppose when if you believe the idea, and some have reported that firing Matt Canada was not ultimately Tomlin's final say, that there may have been influence from the ownership, that that he's not dealing from a position of strength. And last night certainly didn't help. So I suppose it's possible. And, this is not exactly, the Steelers of 1975 in terms from the top down. So, anything is possible.
So, okay. So as far as Canada, he took one for the team then, because he made it clear. He's like, this was my decision and my decision only. Now, I'm with you. Like, something has to be run by ownership, but
right.
You're hearing that he was kind of influenced by others.
There were some people who had written this week that maybe it wasn't 100% his decision, or that he was maybe compelled to make a change at OC. And obviously Mike Sullivan did a really nice job their first game, and then things didn't look great last week, and Kenny Pickett gets hurt. Now you've got a backup QB. I don't know how much you could say that the move has hurt or helped them, but I'm more interested in the idea that even though Tomlin did get up and say, yeah, this is my call. We know how those things work. It's rarely one person's call. In Belichick's case, when he makes moves, you assume, all right, maybe, but given the way the things have turned out the last few years, maybe not. So I don't know that even the most tenured coaches do anything of that magnitude without other people sort of being involved.
I mean, do you think it's as simple as the last couple of weeks just saying, hey, Kenny Pickett got – I'm not that he was, lighting the world on fire before that,
right.
But do you think it's as simple as saying, well, he went down and Mitchell Trubisky is a backup for a reason, or do you think it's deeper than that with this offense right now?
Well, yeah, clearly it's deeper. I think it's deeper. I mean, I think there's issues. Certainly you had, the offensive line slowly gelling together, and I would say still have a lot of room for improvement. Bad snaps at center, questionable play at guard. I mean, there's other factors as well. And you lose Freiermuth for almost half the season. That's going to hurt your offense. They seem to be struggling to figure out exactly how to use Najee Harris and Jalen Warren together. Some games it's great, other games like last night not so much. And then the receiver drama, I guess you'd say, with Pickens causing some issues a few weeks ago, Deontay Johnson more recently. These guys are playmakers. They want the ball in their hands. They're expecting big volume, and it's just not there, whether it's Trubisky or whether it's Pickett. So, yeah, I think it's a personnel issue, but clearly, even last night, I thought there were some very, very curious play calls that may have hurt the team or lessened their chances of winning.
4th and 2, and you go for the home run? Like, what was that?
And the trick play near the goal line, how did that not come back to bite them? That tight end throwing to a tight end play. And yeah, you're right. The 4th and 2 bomb, and there was another deep shot on, 3rd and short. And it's just like, man, they're just grasping at straws almost. So that's at least the impression you get when you watch them.
Let me ask you about that real quick, and we'll end with this on the Steelers. So when Antonio Brown was there and you had that whole circus, and Ben, even as great as he was, we know Ben was a diva. So I always thought, and I think everyone thought as well. Like, wow, Mike Tomlin did a hell of a job with all of that, all of those personalities, all of that drama, everything going on. He did a pretty damn good job. Now I'm starting to wonder, like, wait a minute, do these divas just gravitate toward him? Because, like, yeah, like, how do you, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, now it's Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Like, is that him? Is that the front office? I don't know, but man, it seems like there's always drama around an organization that seemed to be drama-free.
Well, you're right about that, right? I mean, they were as steady as she goes for a franchise for so long, and that's kind of built, baked into their, I guess, their reputation, if you will. But yeah, I mean, right, though, in recent years, it's funny because I think of things from a scouting perspective. I do a lot of draft work and everything, and the narrative for 10 plus years now has been, wow, the Steelers really know how to identify wide receiver talent. And they do.
Yeah.
Their track record in the draft and other places obviously has been impeccable in terms of unearthing wide receiver talent. But there's a trade-off, right? Some of these guys do come with enormous egos or I'm the alpha dog here mentality, right? And so sometimes that can work against you if you have too many of those guys in the same room, but I don't know if that's the current situation. I really don't. I'm not in Pittsburgh. I'm not in the open locker. I don't have, direct sort of ties to that situation there. But, it's hard not to think that, at a certain point, it becomes a little too much to handle. But then again, I mean, you look at Tomlin, I don't know that those incidents have led them to this point, 7-6, and now all of a sudden scratching to get in the playoffs. I think it's been a compound issue.
Eric Edholm, NFL.com, NFL Network. Follow him on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. All right. Our Browns are sitting here, and actually that loss by the Steelers helped them. They, I guess right now, move up to that 5 seed, which is great, but they got to take care of their own business as far as winning games. The last 2 weeks have not been great. If there's a silver lining, as I'm sure you know about and you've seen, it's Joe Flacco. Yeah, he had the bad interception late, but Eric, I got to tell you, I mean, I said it all last week. People are like, what do you think? I'm like, I have no idea. How am I supposed? I don't know what he's going to look like. He looked so polished.
Yeah.
Like just even little things like the play action, the fake. I mean, he was carrying those out so well. He's just a pro's pro. Browns are very fortunate to have him.
Yeah, Joe's the kind of athlete that I despise, like the guy who can just roll off his couch and hit a drive 350 yards or, throw a football halfway down the field. Like, as it's funny to say because he's not a phenomenal athlete by NFL standards, but he just looks so natural throwing the football. And, like you said, he was back in there last week and I was watching the game, the replay of it, and thought, same old Joe, he still throws a pretty deep ball. He still knows how to, like you said, carry out the play action, fake, get his feet set, eyes up, downfield. It's all just sort of muscle memory at this point for him. So again, another testament to a true pro being able to come in as quickly as he did and acclimate himself to the offense. So yeah, all of a sudden he's not only thrust himself into this team, but also into the playoff race and arguably one of their most critical players right now because, not knowing what you could expect from any of the other quarterbacks who are still available, with a defense that isn't quite as tight as it was at one point. Yeah, that's going to be the key. And having Cooper practice and having Njoku and having everybody on deck is the next most important thing, I would think.
Yeah, Eric, and you mentioned the defense, and I think in addition to obviously Joe Flacco and him being a big story is, okay, hey, what's going on with the defense? Sometimes it's as simple as saying, man, you don't have Denzel Ward, and this guy is one of the best and having one of his career seasons. So, yeah, that hurts it. Myles Garrett right now, this is where I'm nervous because last week, we heard at the end of the the Denver game that he had popped his shoulder out and he needed help getting dressed. And so, but then it was like, no, he's fine. He's good. And then we saw him on Sunday and he's basically a third down specialist. Pass rush specialist. And it's like, no, that's not right. And then they continue to say, Schwartz does, no, everything's fine. It was just the game plan. I'd love to believe that. But, I mean, I mean, Eric, you know as well as I do, and everyone knows, we're talking about one of the biggest game wreckers in the game. If he's not at full strength, or God forbid can't go, it's an entirely different look on that D.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He's obviously the kind of the linchpin for them up front. You mentioned it. I mean, the secondary, kind of does start with that unit, I guess, at full strength. So, those are two factors that you have to weigh there. And I mean, just because he didn't have structural damage, I can't remember exact wording of the report, but I think it was like, well, there's no structural damage. Well, it doesn't mean he's not hurt.
Stefanski's very careful. Stefanski's very careful with those press conferences. He knows how to weave those words better than anybody.
These guys should go straight to Capitol Hill after their NFL careers are over. It's unbelievable 100%. How they parse words. Yeah, I mean, everything is chosen carefully, and we know why. It's a fishbowl league, but yeah, if just because there's no structural damage doesn't mean that he's not dealing with a really sore shoulder or a strain, and they're going to downplay it so as to not try to give the opponents an advantage and not have it be a recurring story heading into the next game. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess there's good news in that we don't know Trevor Lawrence's status. The Jags are suddenly reeling, and there are winnable games thereafter. But then again, there are also a few that are going to be tough. At Cincy, at Houston, right? I think is the other one.
Yeah. They got at Houston.
It's a tricky little schedule all of a sudden.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I mean, when he saw the injury happen, you saw the injury happen. You're like, no. Plus, on a short week, he's out. It's C.J. Beathard. He's moving around well. Now, I guess if there's a silver lining, if you're a Browns fan, you're looking at that right foot and you're going, that's his plant leg. Plus, he's a guy that's pretty mobile, so if he can't run around but I don't know. I guess as the days go by, and here we are, end of the week, I feel like this dude's gonna give it a go. With 5 games left, they're fighting for their playoff seeding as well.
Yeah. Well, he's started every game of his. I think it's 46. I don't remember the exact number, but I think that's right. And there was the game earlier this year where they played. I can't remember who they played on the Sunday before, but he got banged up, and they were going to play New Orleans on a Thursday. And everybody on Monday was saying, "I don't think so. It's just the streak's probably over, and he'll miss a game. He'll be back." And then by Tuesday, something changed, right? I don't know if this guy just is a tremendous healer, or he likes to be dramatic, or build up the
Aaron Rodgers mushrooms. He got a hold of.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what he's taking down there in Duval, but yeah, no. I mean, Trevor's a neat kid, and I think the long hair and the good looks and all that. Everybody kind of thinks he's just sort of a surfer kid. No, this is a tough dude. Like, he's taking some big hits, and I think he'll do everything he can to go. I would still say less than 50 if I had to guess, but that's not based on any insider reporting. I don't know, but you're right. I didn't expect him to get a part of a practice in this week.
A few more minutes with Eric Edholm, NFL.com and NFL Network, joining us here on the Chico Borman Show on the Big Play Sports Network. Okay, as far as Browns obviously have 5 games left, we're getting into crunch time in December. We've kind of wavered this week. Shook and I were talking on Tuesday. Do you think the magic number to get in, not necessarily win the division, but just get in, do you think it's changed from 10? And he said, yeah, you know what? I think it's 11. I talked to our buddy, Eric Casillas, earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I think it's 9. And by the way, I had to download Michigan's fight song on my phone. That's now my alarm on my phone because of him. Yeah, because of him. But he says 9. He says 9. And I don't know. Like, what do you think we're looking at for that? If there is that magic number to get in, is it 11? Is it 9? Is it still 10?
It's a great question, because I think last week started kind of changing things a little bit. You had Denver losing for the first time in 5 games. They're all of a sudden in the race, but now they're back at 6-6. You had the Bengals, who seem to be out of the race, jumping back in at 6-6. We know Buffalo, same record. I think there's about a dozen 6-6 teams. It feels that way anyway. But yeah, I mean, like, all these teams with 5 games to go are kind of in that 5, 6, 7 range as far as wins. The ones who are still trying to firm up spots. I mean, not that Jacksonville and Kansas City are hitting the brakes at 8 wins, but I mean, I think it's 10. I think 10 is probably going to get you in. I would. There's obviously a scenario where that three teams finish with 10 wins, one finishes with 11. I'm talking about the wild card teams, and one gets left out.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that does make it 11, I guess. But it means that a lot of these teams would have to do a lot of winning down the stretch, and some of them play each other. So I'm not sure 11 is quite there. But again, I suppose if one of the three wild card teams wins 11, I guess it would be, yeah, I mean, it could be Houston, could be Cleveland, I guess. I mean,
Yep.
that's the crazy thing too. I don't know that I would any of these teams. I'm like, oh, they're for sure winning 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 down the stretch. Yeah, it's pretty hot streak right there.
And kind of along those lines, Eric, because we haven't, we saw San Francisco get off to the great start, then they struggled. Now they're back, and seemingly, and I think you would agree, your rankings number one as far as the power rankings, and they should be. But like, if I pose this question to you, more likely to miss the Super Bowl, a return trip to the Super Bowl this year, Philadelphia or Kansas City, who would you pick?
Probably Kansas City, because I think there were fewer Super Bowl caliber teams in the NFC. Let's just count. Let me make sure I'm not saying this off the top of my head and being wrong. I mean, I guess the way Green Bay's playing now, you could throw them in as a total wild card team. But really, I would say it's probably Dallas, Detroit, San Fran, Philly. And Detroit and Philly have looked a little shaky lately. I don't know that people completely trust the Cowboys. So that's realistically 4, maybe 4.5 teams on that side. Although again, in the AFC, with all the with Burrow out, they're I think eliminated from Super Bowl contention. I can't imagine Jake Browning just getting, would be the story of the decade if he did. But Indianapolis, is anybody really saying that Gardner Minshew is gonna go there? I don't think so. So maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I guess it's some AFC bias leaking into my head or preseason,
That's okay.
thinking about the stronger conference. But now I'm kind of thinking maybe there are more heavyweights in the NFC than there are in the AFC. So it could be Philly now that I kind of sort through it a little bit.
What do you make of this Jets drama going on with the? I mean,
yeah.
At first, it's like. I'm not a big Zach Wilson guy. I think I go back to last year when they said, "Is there anything you would do differently after throwing 5 picks?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Well, that's not a good look, son." But I think he's trying.
Yeah.
I think they kind of did him dirty, and I kind of understand where Rodgers is coming from. I'm not sure if the answer is calling the organization chicken shit, but like, what's going on with these guys?
In a way, that's almost the bigger story, right? I mean, I think that almost is the, obviously there's something that's going to happen at the end of the year. I don't know what it is, right? I don't know if Joe Douglas is feeling the heat. I don't know if Robert Saleh is feeling the heat. I don't know if both of them are, with Woody Johnson, you just sort of wonder what the next move might be, right? So if you're just talking big picture, the fact that Aaron Rodgers feels confident enough to make that kind of a statement for a team he's played 4 snaps for, 3, whatever, it's pretty bold. Aaron Rodgers never exactly, hedged his comments all that much, right? He's gotten to the point where he feels comfortable saying what he thinks is the case, and deal with it, right? And that's fine. That's who he is. We know who he is. But the fact that he's relatively new to this team kind of not forced them, but compelled them to make all these moves to benefit a Rodgers-led team. Almost none of them have worked out with Wilson, right? And that's not anybody's, I don't know if it's the player's fault, but it certainly doesn't reflect great on the organization as a whole. And it's obvious Zach's grown up in some ways this year. I think he's matured. I think you've heard enough of that from behind the scenes before things got bad that I believe it to be true.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, he's going to be playing elsewhere next year, so the drama has to be, sort of swept out of the organization. It's not just him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Last thing on them, I don't want to dwell on it, but like I forgot, I completely forgot that Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
and of course the
it's a
relationship.
big thing. Yeah,
and you wonder if Rodgers and Hackett don't have that relationship, is Robert Saleh? I mean, behind closed doors, is he like, or Woody Johnson or Joe, anybody? Are they like Daniel Hackett? I mean, we know what he didn't do in Denver. So I just wonder if like they kind of feel like they're being held hostage as far as Nathaniel Hackett. And I mean, I saw the stat. I want to credit, I think it was Peter King, 88 offensive possessions, 4 touchdowns.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Eric, that's beyond mind-boggling.
It's not good.
That's
I mean,
like Iowa football or something.
Right, exactly. Iowa wins though, and they they go 10-2 or whatever they do, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the Hackett thing is, look, there were a lot of people who felt like the work he did with Blake Bortles, 3 straight 4,000-yard seasons
That's
with Blake
true.
Bortles. Like,
Yeah,
that's a resume builder. I'm sorry, it is, right?
Yep.
He's an unusual guy. He's got interests outside of football. He's got a teaching method that people have said, wow, this guy connects with me in a way that I haven't felt before. The Denver thing obviously kind of hurt his reputation, I think, irreparably in some ways. This was supposed to be the car wash season where he and his buddy from Green Bay come in and take over Gotham. Didn't work out that way. It's obviously not helped Hackett's reputation. It's a good debate to have. I think it's fair to ask, would they have brought him in had Aaron Rodgers still been under contract to Green Bay? I think you have to ask that. That's the question I would start with.
Yeah. Who's your MVP vote? Right now today. And what's give us your mindset, your thinking, your process on this, because do you automatically kind of take, and I don't think there's any issue with it necessarily, but everybody says, well, how can you not go with a quarterback? Is that kind of your mindset as well?
I mean, it's become a quarterback award, so I don't know if I'm part of the problem in just assuming that people are going to vote for a quarterback and go that way. I think we're in an era of analytics where we're more open to the idea of a non-quarterback winning it. And obviously, I think people are smart enough, football viewers, to understand when a receiver is helping a quarterback, when a defensive player like Aaron Donald or Myles Garrett or whoever is completely wrecking the opponent's plans, et cetera. Do I think a corner or an offensive tackle is ever going to win it? No. It's still going to be those kind of primary positions. Maybe there'll be a day when a running back wins it again. But yeah, it's become a quarterback award. And given the importance of the position, I don't really have a problem with it. I would guess, Hurts has kind of fallen off. Prescott has, obviously, Dak has kind of gained. I would say that there's still work to be done. They haven't beaten a great team this year. Sunday would be an amazing start. That would kickstart his campaign for real. But Brock Purdy, the way he played the first 5 games and could have won the one in Cleveland, had that long drive, missed a kick. The last 4 games have been terrific. With that offense, if they stay healthy, I think Purdy's got a real shot.
Last thing before I let you go, in your wheelhouse, obviously do a great job as far as the NFL draft and love your write-ups on all these
Thank
prospects. Let me ask you, because it seems to be, I don't even know if it's 50-50, but everybody's got they want Caleb Williams, they want Drake May. How do you kind of decipher between the two? And if you had your choice, who would you go with?
Yeah, I don't know that I've made my mind up yet, but I still say that, and I think Drake May is a really talented kid. I mean, he hasn't declared yet. Neither is Caleb. We know Caleb's opted out of the bowl. I have to be careful. I can't, project them anywhere. I think everybody who's read up on these guys knows about where they might go if they come out. Wink, wink. But Caleb's special, man. I think I don't say we've forgotten that, but like those of us in the little draft bubble who kind of pay attention to stuff year round, there's been a lot of May sway, I guess you would say. There's been a lot of people going, hey, kind of see some Justin Herbert in him. I like what I'm seeing. This kid is confident. He's athletic. He's got a big frame. He can throw the ball all over the place. Yeah, there's some young mistakes there at times, some stuff to clean up. He's not perfect. He operated in a semi-simplistic system. And he's dropped off a little production-wise from last year. So there's some, but otherwise, there's been a lot of momentum towards his camp. Maybe Caleb isn't as unicorny as everybody wants to think, but you saw what he was up against this year with the defense giving up 40 plus every game. And you saw some of the offensive scheme stuff that didn't give him a lot of options on certain plays and receivers who couldn't uncover all the time. Offensive line wasn't nearly as good as it was the year before. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying I factor all these things in.
Sure, yeah.
And even amid that, the dude did some pretty amazing stuff. I think it was people were so happy to jump on the USC is losing this year bandwagon that they, it was kind of like Colorado. Shedeur Sanders played unbelievably well this year.
Yeah.
Were they a bad team at the end of the year? Yes. But Shedeur was incredible outside of taking sacks and getting killed, right? So that you have to always have context. And I think Caleb still was doing some freaky stuff this year. And I would say I'm slightly leaning his direction, but I think both are really, really, really good.
So in the 90s, you and I were in our heyday in college and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Bowman and I were discussing, he's a little bit younger than us. The 90s, the 90s music scene, pretty.
Oh.
90s was pretty strong, wasn't it? Wouldn't you agree?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my concert going heyday too. I mean, I was borderline obsessive with seeing every live show. I was on the college music committee and everything. And I mean, I just sort of planned my life around sports and music. So, and to grow up in the 90s, I graduated high school in 93, college, I don't know, 6 years later or something like that. So
same.
Yeah, that was our wheelhouse, man. So that was, I would say, the alternative stuff that came in. You still had the
Pearl
legacy
Jam.
bands from the 60s playing.
Yep.
You had the hip hop coming into the scene. It was like it was a storm of music, and I don't think we'll see anything like that for many years. What we saw in that era.
Ohio State, Missouri. I like your boys' change. Missouri played well late in the season. Mr. Edholm.
They could be. Absolutely, man. I mean, I don't know how many opt-outs y'all are going to have, but I mean, it's going to be a number, and I think we'll have one or two, but yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating game.
Ryan might be getting to pucker a little bit if he hasn't already. Can I say that? Yeah, I can.
I think he can. He just did.
Yeah. What the hell?
So we talking Devin Brown? Is Igbuka playing? I don't know anything. I just know that there's been some talk that could be a lot of third string 5-star players who are playing as opposed to the first and second string guys.
I mean, and on top of that, and I not to dwell on it or anything, but they lost Seaton, their top offensive line prospect. He goes to Dion. And then now you're talking about Jeremiah Smith, possibly the best in the country, and was the number one in the country. And he apparently, I trust Brian Hartline's probably got him locked down, but it seems like, hey, when it rains, it pours. I know you guys are feeling sorry for us in Mizzou.
Definitely. Yeah. That's what we do. We feel sorry for people who have traditionally always been way above us in sports. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of our thing,
And keep rooting for Dennis Gates and the Mizzou hoops. They're
yes. Coming, yeah. It's a big one on Saturday, Kansas, Allen Fieldhouse. If we can keep it to under 17 points, I think I'll feel pretty good about it, but we'll see.
I love it. Eric, we love you, man. Thank you so much for the time. Happy holidays. I'm sure the Twins are going to have a blast, and we'll hook up again soon, pal. Thank you.
Love you, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Eric Edholm, NFL.com, NFL Network, joining us on the show. Yeah, the one thing I wanted to ask him, too, in regards to the Patriots and the Steelers, because that was he's right. Like, that was, admittedly, I didn't watch that whole thing. No way. But I was curious because obviously it affects the Browns and their standings and whatnot. But who has a better chance of coming back and coaching their team, Belichick in New England or Tomlin in Pittsburgh? I would say Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Like, I think Belichick is done. Now, I don't necessarily think done. Like he's out. He's not going to coach anymore. I think he really does. He wants Shula's record, and some team will bite. But if you're telling me, now that was a nice win last night, but if you're telling me Robert Kraft is going to be able to sell Bill Belichick on revamping the front office and him turning over a lot of power and a lot of say. I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then Tomlin, that's the first time I heard. When I heard that he said the decision to fire Canada was his and his only, he said it with such conviction, as Mike Tomlin says everything with such conviction. But I did wonder. I don't know though. It feels like there's so much drama and so much soap opera stuff going on there that usually doesn't happen on his watch. Or if it does, Tomlin's done an incredible job of keeping it on the down low. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll play a little fair or foul. Folks, we still have our Pick Six, which is brought to you by Tipico. And, of course, usually it's 2 from the college scene, 4 NFL. We're going to go 1 college game, bucket list for me, by the way, Army and Navy, followed by 5 NFL games. We got some serious matchups this weekend, including and culminating, as always, with our Browns, who host the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the Chico Borman Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back Friday afternoon here on the Chico Borman Show on the Big Play Sports Network as we broadcast live from our gorgeous studios here at Burke Lakefront Airport. Get so many people, guests included, Eric being one of them, that are so impressed. Aesthetically pleasing, I believe, is how they describe it. And it really is. It really is.
The vibes do be immaculate.
Yeah. I mean, it is a sweet setup. Now, if Dave can... No, I'm just kidding. No, it is outstanding. So, Anyway, the Big Play Network is presented by Tipico Sportsbook. Tipico Sportsbook app has your traditional bets like the money line, spread, and point totals, but you can also lock in player props and check out our Big Play boosts. Hang on, we've got a boost for tonight's. Mentioned the Cavs are in Miami. Big win over Orlando the other day. Max Strus, in honor of Max Strus, back to South Beach. Boom, you all right over there? Everything good?
Just getting geared up.
Okay, all right. That scares me whenever you say that. In honor of Max Strus, back in South Beach, boosted his odds on Tipico. This is see, we don't just read this and then it happens. It happens all the time. They make good on those promises. Max Strus, 3+ 3-pointers, total points over 220, and the Cavs on the money line. Last I checked, the Cavs were favored by 2, I believe, on Tipico. I'll see. We'll get that for sure. But again, boosted the odds. Max Strus over 3 threes, or 3 or over threes. 220 total points over, and the Cavs money line. So, get $100 in bets on us when you bet $25 on this boost. As we said, lock in player props. Check out the big boost every single week to back your favorite Cleveland teams and athletes with the best odds in Ohio. Get in the action. Load up for football season. It's already here using promo code BIGPLAY100 to get $100 in bets on us. Just bet $25. We'll give you $100 in bet credits. Bet with the Big Play crew all season long with Tipico Sportsbook. We got our Pick 6 coming later in the 1 o'clock hour, brought to you by Tipico. But right now, it's Fair or Foul, brought to you by the incomparable Michael Ball.
All right, Chico, tip it off. And since you were talking about the Cavs, why don't we start right there?
All right.
So, obviously, Darius Garland, borderline superstar, right? Phenomenal player, no doubt about it. One of the key cogs of this franchise. One of the issues that he struggled with up to that game against the Magic this year, a lot of turnovers, Chico. He's been turning it over more than you'd like. Now, certainly a playmaker like that who's trying to keep everyone engaged in the game and get them all involved, it's bound to happen from time to time. But it's a little too much. And JB Bickerstaff talked about...
a little too much. Attaboy,
Turn it down a little bit, Darius.
Attaboy. Too much.
So JB Bickerstaff emphasized that in his press conference following their matchup with the Orlando Magic, in which he was able to turn it down a few notches in terms of the turnovers. Fair or foul? Do you think is it fair or foul to say that Darius Garland took a step forward in his growth as a playmaking point guard?
Foul. One game? No, I mean one regular season game is. I believe in Darius Garland. You know, Jake Chapman, who we had on the other day, the voice of the Orlando Magic. I mean, he said that. I believe the question I posed to him was what were like his biggest takeaways after the Knicks series, and his number one was that Darius Garland needs to be more consistent, and Darius Garland needs to not turn the ball over as much, and that was from the last playoff season. Now, make no mistake, Darius Garland is special. He's not a superstar right now. He's a great point guard who needs to refine his game, needs to take care of the basketball, but I think he knows that. And he's still very, very young, like a lot of these guys. Very, very young. He's going to be fine. But to say that the win over Orlando turned a corner, you know, tonight's going to be a good test because Miami, I mean, you know it's Spoelstra. You know they're going to play hard. You know they're going to play physical. You know they're going to play great D. So how does Darius Garland and all the other guys, but how does Darius Garland respond? We shall see. Let's wait until after this weekend or this week when you've got Miami, Orlando again, 2 against the Celtics. Then we'll see if maybe we can talk about turning a corner.
All right, well, on to the NFL now, Chico, because I don't know if you caught wind of this Sean McDermott meeting in which
yes, I did.
He said we need to be like the terrorists that committed 9/11, and he addressed it in the media. Fair or foul, Chico, there's no coming back from that. Sean McDermott.
Dougie McBuckets.
Dougie McBuckets?
He's like, don't be lumping me in with that crap.
Wrong time to have a slip-up when we're discussing something so serious. Fair or foul, there's no coming back for Sean McDermott.
Well, okay, before I answer that, what is your definition of coming back from it?
He's gone after this year from the Bills coaching job.
Well, okay, but if he's gone, like, if you're telling me the Bills, who I think right now are, what is their record? 6-6, I think, which is astounding. But if you're telling me the Bills are 9-3 or 10-2, and he says this, and you're posing that question, my answer is absolutely foul. Like, he's fine. He'll be back. I mean, he made a huge mistake, but, you know, if you're a great coach. Now, coupled with him struggling, the team struggling, coupled with, you know, them not really being able to find an identity, coupled with, you know, a lot of guys unhappy, whether it's, you know, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, and just a lot of drama, which really gets swept under the rug when you're winning games, but they're not. And this is from a team that many thought at the very least would play for the AFC Championship, if not in the Super Bowl, and if not, maybe win it all. And they might not even get in. So all of that factored in, I'll say fair, he doesn't. I don't think he's back next year. I think there's just a lot of there's a lot of crap going on in Buffalo right now. It was a terrible, terrible analogy. He admitted as much. But like I said, if he's winning games, it's, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, and then we move on. But when you don't coach well, you don't win games, that stuff gets magnified.
Yeah, I had to read through that story a few times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. With that said, Chico, on to, if there was an award for the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL, I think the Jets would certainly receive a nomination. And so I want to talk about them for a second, because all this drama with Zach Wilson, where you see all these reports throughout the course of the week that he doesn't even want to start. Like, they want to go back to him. They cut Tim Boyle. He doesn't want to go out there. And now, of course, Adam Schefter did report that he will be the starter, and Zach Wilson is going to be back out there. Fair or foul, Chico, there's nothing that Zach Wilson can do to, outside of, you know, barring like a historic run to finish the season, there's nothing that Zach Wilson can do to salvage his time with the New York Jets going forward for future seasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, if they just went on an incredible win streak and he all of a sudden, you know, turns into Russell Wilson and primes Russell Wilson and not Zach Wilson, but that's not going to happen. I will say this, though. We mentioned this with Eric a little bit. I do think he kind of got done dirty. Now, I think I said last year I was not a fan of this kid at all. When Garrett Wilson lashes out at a guy, you know that it has to be bad. And like I said, when he responded to 5 interceptions with, would you do anything different? No. Like, wow, you got to grow up, pal. I think he really did make a concerted effort to do that. He was told that this is basically your red shirt year. We're going to have you just sit out. You watch Aaron Rodgers. We believe in you, but your time's not now. And then all of a sudden, wait, your time is now. No, wait, now your time's not now. Now, wait, now your time is again. And the fact of the matter is, whether you're Aaron Rodgers, whether you're Zach Wilson, whether you're Tim Boyle, I don't care who you are, that offensive line sucks. I don't doubt that he questioned, like, man, do I really want to go out there and get killed? Now, it depends on the setting, and if that was leaked by somebody in the organization trying to screw Zach Wilson, shame on him and he should be fired. But the reality of the situation is Zach Wilson doesn't have a whole lot of leash, at least I think with his teammates. And so when you couple that with, you know, this, true or not true, I think his time in New York is done. He's gonna go somewhere else. You know, he's got some talent, but as we've seen far too many times in the NFL, you can have a rocket for an arm, If you would have a 10-cent head or you don't give a damn about it and you don't want to put in the work and you don't truly love the game, it'll weed you out. And so Zach Wilson's at a crossroads right now. We'll see what happens.
All right, well, on to the Cleveland Browns, Chico. I want to ask you some questions ahead of this upcoming matchup with the Jaguars.
I'd be
By the
happy
way,
to, yeah.
I've noticed more and more people saying Jaguars. I didn't even think that was such a common thing, but now I feel like now that we talk about
Jaguars or Jaguars?
Jaguars. I just want to correct them now. Like, where do you see the I in this spelling?
Well, how do you say it?
Jaguars.
You,
Jaguar.
no, you just said
Jaguars.
it. The way you said it sounded like an I.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. Yeah, you can make a case there's an I in that.
But there literally isn't.
No, I'm saying no
I didn't
shit,
say Jaguars. I said
you said Jaguar.
Jaguars.
You have to be very clear on it. If you're going to try to say it like that, you've got to say Jaguars. You can't say Jaguars because then it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to get the best of both worlds, and it does sound like there's a Y.
Enunciate, damn it.
I love how you're trying to correct me but there literally is not an I in Jaguar. Really? Thanks, Bohm. I think I know how to spell Jaguars.
Just dealing some cold, hard facts to you, Chico.
Thanks, Bohm. I appreciate it.
All right, well, good news out of Berea as Amari Cooper and David Njoku return to practice after not practicing up to this point. Now, with Amari Cooper, prior to his head injury last week, he was Joe Flacco's most targeted receiver. Of course, Flacco has that previously established rapport with Elijah Moore from his days with the New York Jets, their days with the Jets, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And David Njoku came into last week as the team's leading receiver. Now, with all of that, I want to ask you, fair or foul, Chico? Amari Cooper will get the most targets of the Browns receivers and tight ends on Sunday against the Jaguars.
So we're going on. He's healthy for.
We're going on. He's
4
practicing.
quarters.
We're assuming he's healthy. We're not taking in the hypothetical possibility of injury.
Yeah. If they're both, it's Amari, and that's nothing against Elijah Moore. I think he's gonna. We've already seen his targets go up, and they'll continue. He'll still be a weapon for him, but Amari Cooper's he's on a different level. Amari Cooper is as precise a route runner as there is. He's had some drops this year, which is kind of surprising because he has very, very trusty hands. But if he's available for 4 quarters, I think Joe Flacco is going to find him quite a bit. And also, I just want to sneak this in there. I know we talked about it yesterday with Dan Lobby, but Marquise Goodwin, it feels like Marquise Goodwin's going to make a play in this game over the top. And I know, he's finally back, but this guy, there's speed and then there's world-class speed, and Marquise Goodwin has world-class speed, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's due for one, Chico. He's been getting open deep. It's not on him.
Well, he's been out for a while.
Right, but when he was on the field, he's been getting open. He's due to actually connect on one of those.
Flacco would be the best opportunity for that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
With that, Chico, I want to ask you, fair or foul? Over 60 rushing yards for Jerome Ford coming off of a struggling day in the Browns' run game last Sunday.
I'm going to say under. Not by much, but I'm going to say under. I don't know what's going on with that. I feel like I've read a few, guys that do the film work and the deep dives, and certainly respect all those guys and their work. And what you're hearing, and really what we're seeing too when we watch the games, he seems to be a little bit indecisive. Now, nobody expects him to be Nick Chubb and see a crease, explode and gone, but he's doing a little too much dancing. I think he's a good back. I'm a Jerome Ford fan, but I can't right now, especially with the way the passing game and Joe Flacco's been, feeling it, and he's got Marquise Goodwin back. He's got a rapport with Elijah Moore. Plus, you still have 2 other backs. It's not just his job. So right now, to say he goes over 60, I would go foul. I'd go under on that. I say he's in the 45, 55 range, but nothing. Catches a few passes maybe for first downs, but I don't think he's rushing a whole lot.
Yeah, I think Jerome Ford's impact in the pass game is such an underrated facet to like what he brings on the field.
Yep.
I mean, one of my favorite, just using him in that wheel route. That's one of my favorite routes, when you use that running back in the wheel and you can get them open downfield and they can be a legitimate receiving option on a deeper pass as opposed to just relying on those short game running back screens and whatnot.
I like you referencing fair or foul, boom, referencing the wheel route. Fair.
Oh, it's been my favorite route, Chico, since going back to when I used to play the NCAA college football video games, and I would just always audible the receiver to run a wheel route, and he would just run right by him.
If I had to say my favorite pass route, I would probably say a bubble screen. Because when it's run to perfection and there's risk involved because you're basically letting the herd come at you, but then you're setting up those guys that are allowing those guys through, or you're setting up a blockade, a cavalry, cavalcade. Cavalry, yeah.
Yeah, cavalcade.
Yeah.
Good pull out of you, Chico.
I would say bubble screen would be my favorite.
That's interesting because it's a small or like quick developing route, but there's a lot around it that revolves around it to make it successful. I also want to give a shout out to the post route, just a beautiful route. But that being said, Chico.
Yes.
Commencing forth on today's edition.
Wow, boom! You got you got an Encyclopedia Britannica over there? All right, go ahead. Lay another one on me, boom.
Well, it has to be au natural. I can't force just a random word pull out for you. I'm not quite the wordsmith that you're making me out to be here, Chico. With that said, I do want to ask you, because sack production, we heard it yesterday from Dan Lobby talking about how outside of Myles Garrett, Obo Okoronkwo is the second leading sack getter for the Browns with only 3.5. Fair or foul, Chico? A defensive lineman.
Go ahead.
A defensive lineman other than Myles Garrett will finish with at least 7 sacks this season.
Where's Obo at?
3.5. I was gonna say 6, and then I raised it at the last second.
I'm gonna go foul on that. I mean, you have 5 games remaining, and that's not to say that they can't get close to that, and it'd still be a nice number. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of this still is, we don't know. And this is, I'll be honest with you, this is really, I don't want to say it's making me lose sleep at night, but it's close. Wondering how Myles is going to be this Sunday and moving forward. Like, the dude, when he is at the top of his game, nobody wants a piece of him. When he's healthy and he's raring to go, forget about it. This guy totally wrecks game plans over and over and over again. So, this pass rush is huge, just like getting Denzel back in the secondary. We talked about it yesterday. You're marrying those two. But, we're talking about a guy, Zadarius Smith is nice. Obo's nice. Myles Garrett he's on a planet all by himself. You got to have some semblance of a healthy Myles Garrett. And that scares me right now, to be honest with you.
I did want to ask you about that, Chico, actually. Thank you for the reminder, by the way.
Sure, Boom. No problem.
Fair
That's what
or foul,
I do here. Yeah.
Fair or foul, you're expecting Myles Garrett to have a better performance out there on Sunday than he did against the Rams?
I'm going to go foul only because, and I'm not saying that he can. I don't know what his health is. Dan said it yesterday. They continue to say, and I get it. There's gamesmanship and there's protecting Myles, but no, he's fine. And it wasn't the shoulder why he missed why he missed time on Sunday. It was totally something else. Well, first of all, what was that then? Which you're not going to say, but it was the shoulder. And missed practice a couple times this week. I said no need to practice, but I don't even know if they had him. I think they had him on the injury report yesterday. But it's the shoulder. I mean, we're not fooling anybody. So here we're getting, and when you're talking about trying to secure a playoff spot, when you're talking about, trying to have an extended season in January, like 95 is front and center of all of that, and not knowing is just, like I said, it's making me lose some sleep, and if I'm not careful, I'm going to lose some hair. Yeah,
and I think part of the stress with that is just this Browns organization has proven that they can't really be trusted when it comes to injuries.
Well, but I'm not going that far with it. Like
I mean, Deshaun was a huge example.
Yeah, I mean, that was totally different. This, I think, is more, and like with Flacco versus DTR, is more gamesmanship. I mean, the Jags just announced they're waiting until Sunday on the Lawrence decision. So there's some of that. Now, earlier in the season with them, yeah, I agree with you. I agree. All right?
That is going to do it for today's Fair or Foul.
All right. Thank you, Bone. That was a bit of a marathon edition of Fair or Foul, but that's okay. It was very, very informative. By the way, I've been searching. I don't know if you saw this. John Morosi, and I know it's not baseball season, but the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes and where he could end up. So John Morosi is saying with MLB Network that it's imminent. Now, I don't know if imminent means coming tonight, tomorrow. Before it was, he'll have a decision by the end of the weekend. But when he said this morning imminent, that makes it sound like it's going to be today. I think it's going to be Toronto. A lot of people are saying, no, at the end of the day, it'll be L.A., it'll be the Dodgers. I mean, I got to be careful there. I don't think it's the Angels. Some people are saying, oh, he's going to go back. There's bad blood there. Not horrible, but there's some bad blood there. I think he's going to go to Toronto. I think he's going to play. And you know what? That's a win for fans. If you're a baseball fan, that's a win because him playing Eastern Standard Time, him playing in the AL East means we get to see Shohei Ohtani. I don't want him, nothing against the Dodgers, but I don't want him out west. If you're baseball, if you're Rob Manfred or you're a baseball fan, you want Shohei Ohtani playing somewhere on the East Coast. Because your best chance to reap all of the benefits and rewards is for him to be able to be seen on a regular basis. And if he's playing in L.A. or San Francisco, that ain't going to happen. So, I don't know. We'll see. But wanted to pass that along. We don't know. Yes, did you want to add something?
I totally forgot that I had Ohtani as a Fair or Foul topic in regards to what you just brought up in that, like, the negative impact of him staying out west. I think that was something that early on I didn't totally consider because, like, oh, wow, if he went to the Dodgers, like, that's a loaded all-star team. But I want to see him, Chico. I want to witness greatness. And so it would be awesome if he went out east. And I don't know. Now, Toronto, because he's competing in the AL as a Guardians fan, maybe that's not, like, the most ideal scenario, but I want to witness history, you know?
Well, I don't know if you're going to witness any more history for a while because I don't know if he's not going to pitch this year. But he still is very prodigious with the bat, and hopefully he does get back to pitching. But yeah, I always kind of lamented the fact that I would look to see when his turn was up again in the rotation. But I mean, I'm an old man. I need my beauty sleep. I need beauty sleep and I need Werther's Originals. Either one, I'm shit out of luck. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. We're going to play Pick Six, brought to you by our friends at Tipico. One college game, that being Army and Navy, and then 5 from the NFL slate. And yes, we conclude with a prognostication when it comes to the Jags and the Browns. More of the Chico Borman Show right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All right, welcome back. It is the Chico Borman Show here on this Friday. And what do I live in a barn or something? I left the door wide open. It's not nice of me, Bohm.
That's why I'm here.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Dust in the air. This is live, kids. We do it live. I was going to say something on the Cavs, and I completely forgot what it was. Oh, anyway. Pick Six is brought to you by Tipico, as we said. 6 games, obviously, but one from the college slate, Army and Navy, the big one this weekend, which we'll get to, and then 5 in the NFL slate. Again, Big Play Network presented by Tipico Sportsbook. Tipico Sportsbook app has your traditional bets like the money line, spread, and point totals, but also lock in player props and check out our Big Play boosts every single week to back your favorite Cleveland teams and athletes with the best odds in Ohio. And get in the action, load up for football season using promo code BIGPLAY100 to get $100 bets on us. Just bet $25. We'll give you $100 in bet credits. Bet with the Big Play crew all season long with Tipico Sportsbook. Shall we begin, Bohm? By the way, that is actually me drawing up the play on the chalk,
Coach Chico.
That's the bubble screen. Yeah, that's the bubble screen that I was getting ready for, but it just didn't play out like I wanted. All right.
You got too cute.
Yeah, absolutely. Army and Navy. First of all, this is a bucket list for me. This is one that the Masters is one, and Army Navy is one that I really do want to check out, and like would want to not just get in for the game. I'd like to take in the whole weekend. But Navy is home to Army, and they are getting 3 points. Army last year winning in double OT, and 7 of the last 9 of these games have been 7 points or fewer. Another reason why it's such a great matchup. So, close game. Army-Navy. You know what? Army's kind of revamped what they've been doing as far as their run game. Normally, it's just, everybody says, well, it's just triple option, triple. By the way, I'll say this. Whenever Ohio State plays one of the service academies, I get nervous as hell. Because playing against, triple option team, it's like, if it's run to perfection, it is very hard to stop. I mean, and plus it's not something teams see all the time, so I always get nervous with it. But if you love running the option, now they're changing some things up at both schools here with the offense, but still at the heart is that running game. I'm going to go Army. I think Army. I was going to go Navy at home, but I'm going to go Army. I'm going to go with the Black Knights. And I'll take them minus the 3 points.
Now, Army was the one that upset Air Force midseason when Air Force came in undefeated. Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to ride with Army too, but I also want to mention, because you talked about how Ohio State, you get nervous when they face off against these service academies. I happened to attend Ohio State Navy, the overtime game with Terrell Pryor at quarterback, and I'll never forget how nerve-wracking that was. Just watching that was my first exposure to the triple option, and just watching it pick you apart piece by piece, a slow, painful, torturous death. I'm glad Ohio State pulled it out, but man, I ever since that experience, I feel the exact same way, Chico.
I mean, like I said, if it is run to perfection, it is really, really tough to beat. I can remember in my play-by-play days, specifically when you get deeper in the football, high school football playoffs, and you'd have some teams that's what they ran. And when you watch it, except unless you're on the other end of it, when you watch it being run, I love it. I mean, it is a thing of beauty. Ball into the fullbacks, bread basket, hold it. What is this tackle going to do? All right, it's awesome stuff. But anyway,
football in its purest form.
And let me just say this: I got trolled yesterday on the show. I admit I got trolled. The guy that was Big Mike who said, does anybody else wish we had Anthony Schwartz and whatever? And I was like, elite hands. Yeah, he got me. So I got home last night and I saw a tweet saying that Belichick is the guest picker for College Game Day. And I'm like, no way. It was Schefter that put it out. I'm like, so here I am. I'm Googling. I'm making sure. Apparently it's true. Bill Belichick, keep in mind they played last night, and his dad, Steve, was legendary in, at Annapolis, and Belichick spent some time there. Belichick is going to be on the set of Game Day picking games with the crew.
That's actually amazing, Chico. Fair or foul, that's must-watch TV
Oh,
if you're a sports fan.
Are you kidding me?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Like, that almost tells me that Belichick knows he's done. Like, or the end is near, because he would never, ever do this. Now, if it was Sunday and they had a game, but, I mean, it sure worked out perfectly, and I'm sure somebody said, what about Belichick? And they're like, yeah, good luck with that. But, again, if it was any other week, but Army-Navy, yeah. So it is true. I was not trolled for a second time. Bill Belichick will be on game. Like, what if he goes in full Belichick mode?
See, that's what I'm wondering, Chico. Like, are we going to see this glowing personality of Belichick, the TV side of him that we've never seen before?
He can be funny.
Yeah, I know. I know that he has a personality that he's keeping away from us.
He can be funny as hell.
Yeah.
Plus, he likes Bon Jovi, and I'm a big Bon Jovi fan.
Oh, I know he's going to crack some jokes. I know he's going to make them laugh. I'm excited to see that. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, so Belichick is the
was that announced before or after the Patriots won last night?
Before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like during the afternoon. Schefter, like I said, I'm like, here we go, another troll job. And then I looked into it. They're like, no, it's true. He's going to be the guest picker. So another reason to watch Army-Navy. All right, you're going Army as well, so we both got Army. All right, to the NFL. The Ravens coming off the bye. They are 9-3. Take on the Los Angeles Rams, the team the Browns just lost to. Rams coming in 6-6, but they have found something. Sean McVay is kind of cooking, and they have to go to Baltimore. Baltimore is laying 7.5 points.
I also saw Lamar miss practice yesterday, didn't he? They kept him out.
Well, I'm sure he's fine, though. That might have just been a
precautionary.
Yeah, because he had a bye week, and we didn't hear about him injured before the bye week. So yeah, I'm sure he's fine.
Non-factor.
I'm calling for the upset. I think the Ravens maybe are just a little too out of sync. You know, the bye week, they don't have Mark Andrews. I think the Rams are playing with a lot of confidence. I feel a lot better if this game was at SoFi, but I think even still, going into Baltimore, I think McVay, I think Matthew Stafford, if Puka Nacua is healthy, I'm calling the upset there. Give me the Rams getting 7.5 points, but I think they're going to win it outright.
Yeah, that's a big spread, Chico. By the way, sidebar. I hope it doesn't happen, but Zach Ertz, now on the market, feels like the perfect player to fill those shoes of Mark Andrews for the Ravens. And like I said, I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm surprised they haven't gotten on that yet.
Yeah, I will say, though, they've said he's kind of lost. He's not the same Zach Ertz he's been after the injuries and whatnot. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, because Andrews is, oh boy, that is his boy, Lamar's boy. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Now that 7.5, that's a massive spread. I expect the Ravens to win. I hope they don't, but I'm gonna pick the Rams to cover at least.
Okay, so we both have the Rams there. All right, Indianapolis Colts. They're 7-5. Kind of surprising when not only the beginning of the season and then they lose Richardson and the whole Jonathan Taylor drama, but here they are. In Zach Moss, we trust. The Colts are 7-5. They're going on the road to take on the Bengals. Before you say, Bengals. Jake Browning looked like, give me a Jake I was going to say Jake Plummer in his days at Arizona State. But Jake Browning looked very, very good in that victory. They're 6-6. The Bengals are laying 1.5. I got Colts all day in this. I'll say it again, and I hope this doesn't happen with Flacco, but Flacco certainly isn't Jake Browning either. Backups are backups for a reason. And while Browning, good for him, had a great game, oftentimes it's followed up by the reason they're a backup. I think Indianapolis, even going into Cincinnati, I think Indianapolis wins this game. I think they get a heavy dose of Zach Moss, and I think Gardner Minshew continue. Michael Pittman, by the way, receiver out of USC, has been on a roll. So, yeah, give me the Colts getting 1.5. I think they're going to win it outright. Another one that I'm going outright with.
Where'd you say this game was again?
This game is in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and that is like the biggest factor in this game is what are you going to get out of Jake Browning? Because that performance on Monday night was unbelievable. Like, I was floored to see him performing so well. And Gardner Minshew has really started to establish himself as a relatively competent quarterback in this league, and he's able to make plays when his team needs it. Jake Browning obviously has not established that yet. I'm going to go with the Colts here, only just based off of, at this point, and you've talked about it, just only one good performance from Browning to go off of. I'm going to ride with Minshew, a guy who we've seen him get it done, find ways to get the dub. I'm going Colts.
Okay. So we agree. Have we agreed on every one so far?
We are unanimous thus far, Chico.
Cheater boom. All right.
I'm a copycat.
Bills at Chiefs. They're going at Arrowhead. I would guess that means Tay will be in attendance. Bills at Chiefs. Bills are 6-6. You got the drama now, more drama with McDermott and the 9/11 comments, and they're just a mess. Chiefs are 8-4, but the Chiefs are definitely not the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to seeing. And we've been saying, okay, well, just give them a month. And October came and went, and November came and went, and now we're into December, and they're still trying to figure it out on offense. Bohm, I'll let you go first. The Chiefs are laying 1.5. So the Bills are getting 1.5 on the road at KC. Who you got?
Yeah, I would take the Chiefs in this one, Chico. Now, you're right, but both of these teams have been so shaky. Like, it's hard to find any sort of trust in either of these squads finding success. And now you have this whole awkward thing surrounding the Bills that you mentioned. Even though it occurred a while ago, you have to wonder if now that it's been brought to the forefront from the media, if it's going to resurface as sort of an issue as players inside the confines start to see it put into perspective.
Well, but they've known about it.
Yeah.
For a long time. It's just a writer. Basically, what I heard is a writer got upset, or excuse me, not a writer, a
player,
an assistant got upset that one of his boys got let go, and then this writer who's also pretty tight with him decided, okay, well, now we're going to go with this. But this happened, and I'm not saying it makes it right, and we don't talk about it, but it happened a while ago. So the idea that like the players are just kind of, bombarded with this and they had no idea isn't true, because it happened a while ago.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm going with the Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes needs a better offensive line, needs better weapons. I mean,
needs better offensive line.
Yeah.
Offensive line's been not bad.
You think so? Yeah, I don't know. To me, they're subpar. I think Patty is having to oftentimes find himself scrambling for his life, having to buy extra time.
Being called Pat, but you called him Patty. Wow.
I'm not the first one, Chico.
Patty. All right. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to channel my inner boomer, a.k.a. Chris Berman. The Buffalo Bills always circle the wagons. Yes.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen will basically do his best. Jim Kelly. They won't run the K-gun offense. By the way, the K-gun offense, I don't know if people realize, that was adopted basically in the second half. It came to life. It was birthed in the second half of the Browns-Bills divisional playoff game in 1990 that the Browns won 34-30. But anyway, all of that to say this, it just, the season's so crazy. Everything says you got to go with the Chiefs, but I'm not buying the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, when they are at home, play worse because they feel more pressure. And I think the Bills right now are just kind of like, you know what? What the hell? Let's just go. Let's throw mud against the wall. We're 6-6. You can say we got nothing to lose. Obviously, that's not true. But they're kind of the underdogs now. Everybody's counting them out. I think they, as Boomer would say, circle the wagons. And the Buffalo Bills get an upset win in Kansas City. All right, they're saying this is the game of the week, Boom. The Eagles at 10-2 at Dallas. How about them Cowboys? At Dallas, taking on the Cowboys, who are 9-3, and who knows, maybe Dak Prescott really is the front runner for MVP in the league right now. He's been incredible. Dallas has been rolling. They are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Eagles, who have not looked great, and then they got their asses handed to them by the San Francisco 49ers. Eagles 10-2, Cowboys 9-3, Cowboys at home laying 3.5. Boom. Who you got?
Yeah, this is a great matchup, Chico. I'm very okay. So this is huge for Dallas because so far it feels like yes, they're 9-3, but none of their wins have been against top tier opponents up to this point, where it's something that you can feel like, okay, this team is legit. So this is a pivotal matchup for the Dallas Cowboys team.
Good setup so far. I like it. Very college game day-ish.
I'm going to ride with quote-unquote America's team. I think that ultimately they do rise to the occasion, and I don't feel great about Philadelphia. We've talked about it time and time again. This is a team that has always managed to find ways to win, but it's been shaky, and I don't think that it's going to be enough against a tough Dallas opponent that feels like it's really hitting on all cylinders, frankly.
Okay. Everything you said there was very good and true. I feel like, and fair or unfair, this is just my feeling, that this is where, and the Dallas Cowboys seem to have these moments every single year where just as you start to buy in and think, uh-oh, how about them Cowboys? They come out and they go just kind of lay an egg. I think this is going to be one of those games. I'm not saying they look terrible. I'm not saying Philly blows them out. But I do think that Philly and the wideouts, particularly A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, are going to be able to get behind that defense. I think there's going to be some big plays in this game. Jalen Hurts is going to do what Jalen Hurts does in terms of just kind of, if not spectacular, he's going to keep drives going. Probably a rushing touchdown or two. But I would say I think this is a big game for not just one of them, but both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So give me the Eagles getting 3.5 points. So we differ on that one.
I like that pick, Chico, and you're right. Like the Eagles, when they're hitting, they are one of the most dynamic offenses in football. I think their offensive line play has been shaky of late, and Jalen Hurts has been inconsistent of late.
That's surprising. Yeah. The Eagles' offensive line, led by Travis's brother, Jason Kelce, who just might be like one of the best, if not the best center of all time. But they have not played well of late. So I mean, everything's pointing towards, but I guess that's why I'm taking Philadelphia, because I feel like this is where Dallas. Look, they're going to get in the postseason, but it just feels like this is where all the momentum's going their way, and they're hearing it, and they're loving it, and how about them Cowboys? And then all of a sudden they're going to come out at home, and I think that I think Philadelphia wins this game. So, all right.
Also, Chico, real quick, I think it was we had Eric Casillas on the show, right? And he was talking about he's been betting against the Cowboys for 20 or 30 years, right? And so far it hasn't let him down because in the end, the Cowboys always let you down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And EK is, as much hell as I give him, not much really, because he knows I love him, but he is very good at his job with the gambling and like that's, he knows his stuff. So if he's saying Philadelphia, then I'm going Philadelphia as well. All right. We have reached the ultimate. Browns really need a W. Chico, you say that every freaking week. Yeah, I know, I do. But no, now they really, really need a W, especially because this game's at home. Now it's an AFC opponent, an AFC opponent that is fighting for seeding and division and all that stuff, just postseason in general. I'm very, very encouraged. If Denzel Ward was not back this week and Trevor Lawrence had not suffered the injury, I'd be nervous about it. I think Denzel Ward being back, I don't know what Myles Garrett's going to bring you. I'm hoping that like Zadarius Smith, Obo, maybe even some guys inside, Dalvin Tomlinson, can generate some pressure because, again, Trevor Lawrence is not 100%. Chances are he will probably start. The latest out of Jacksonville is that Jacksonville is going to announce on Sunday, total gamesmanship, I get it, but they're going to announce on Sunday whether or not Trevor Lawrence is going to play. I think he does play. I think he is very limited in his arsenal, and his arsenal includes running the football and going downfield, trying to push the ball downfield, which is going to be difficult with an injured plant leg. Give me the Browns. I think Flacco does hook up with Marquise Goodwin. I'm going to say Flacco with a 3 TD, 1 interception game, but continues to look polished. Running game is still kind of finding itself, but this is another opportunity. The weather, by the way, they're saying could be a little dicey, but I think that's why Flacco has that big arm. He played in Baltimore. He's used to it. He's tough. And he's a proud Delaware. The Delaware, what is their they're not a Wolverine. They have similar helmets.
It's like identical helmets.
Delaware Mud Hens. I know that's Toledo. Delaware. Oh, I know this too. Damn it, Chico.
Well, the mascot's named Udi.
Well, how did you end up with Udi? I'm looking at the computer. It's all right. Delaware, whatever.
I searched mascot. The Fightin' Blue Hens.
The Blue Hens. That's right. That's right. The Fighting Blue Hens. That is a great mascot and a great name. All right. That said, yeah, Joe Flacco, the Fighting Delaware Fighting Blue Hen, is going to fight again this weekend. Browns win. They're laying 3. They win and they cover against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Defense looks much better. Certainly Denzel Ward being back there helps matters, but I'll take the Browns, and I'm going to say my score, I'm going to go Browns 24 and Jacksonville 16 will be my final score. 24-16 Browns.
Yeah, the weather is such a underrated factor here for me, Chico, because I don't know if we've seen Trevor Lawrence tested with those sorts of conditions. Now, granted, we don't know exactly what's going to happen out there on Sunday weather-wise, but this is going to be a different kind of adversity for Trevor Lawrence if he does happen to go out on that field on Sunday. With that said, I'm almost scared to pick against Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence if he's playing, because I feel like he's the kind of quarterback that could really pick you apart. With that, however,
he doesn't have Christian Kirk either. Keep in mind.
That's big.
One of his top wideouts.
And like you said, having Denzel Ward back is huge. That's going to help as well in terms of getting pressure against Lawrence. Now, the Jaguars also have one of the better rushing defenses in the league, and the importance for the Browns to establish this run game is going to be critical.
The other Josh Allen, very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Their pass defense has been more vulnerable this year just in terms of like where they're ranked in yards allowed. But with the conditions, how much is that going to impact it? So much to wonder here. Now, remind me of the spread, Chico.
Boom, the spread is the Browns are laying 3. Jags are getting 3 points in this game at Cleveland Browns Stadium at 1 o'clock.
I'm going to say Browns 19-18.
Interesting score, Boom.
Yeah. Well, they put up 19 last week. Maybe we'll get a new scoregami again.
Here's the other thing. With Trevor Lawrence, I think compromised if he indeed does play, and I think he will. Travis Etienne, we're talking about the Browns running game. Travis Etienne, who I think is a great back, he really hasn't done anything over the last 3 weeks. And they're kind of questioning, is that Doug Peterson? Is it Etienne? Is he a bit banged up? He is a bit banged up, but they're wondering if it's more serious than they're letting on. But yeah, I think they're catching Jacksonville, and hey, make no mistake, we ain't apologizing considering all the injuries that the Browns have faced. I think they're catching him at a pretty good time. So give me the Browns in that one.
Yeah, short week for the Jags as well.
Yes, good point, Boom. Very good point. All right, so I want to end with this, and again, thank you to our friends at Tipico for presenting Pick Six. I'm sorry, I'm reading a story here real quick that I wanted to make sure I had all the facts on. And by the way, speaking of Tipico, the big boost. Boom, we got to talk about this. Are you all over this one? Max Struess. Brought to you by Tipico, of course. It has been boosted, not boosted, boosted. Max Struess, 3+ 3-pointers, 220, over 220 in total points, and the Cavs on the money line. Cavs, I believe, are favored by 1.5 or 2 in this game.
Who are they playing again?
They're playing in Miami, in South Beach. That's why we were talking about Will Smith.
Bienvenido a Miami. That's right. Okay. I like those odds, Chico. Now, okay. The money line one scares me a little bit because you're going down into Miami on their turf, and everyone talks about the Miami fever, they call it, when teams go out to Miami and celebrate the night before and maybe have a little bit of a hangover the following day. We've seen it in the LeBron era where they've struggled in Miami.
So you think the boys might be out partying tonight?
I don't know,
Or
Chico.
last
I'm
night,
just
or-
saying that Miami fever thing, it feels like it's happened year after year. Going back to the LeBron era, they've always struggled down in South Beach.
Well, I think that's more about Spoelstra and the team. But I mean, I haven't heard any like, oh my gosh, Darius and Donovan were at the club until 5:30 a.m. And then shoot around came and they couldn't find Struess because he had to hook up with his old lady in Miami. Like I don't know about that. But
I like the first two legs of that parlay for sure, but the last one scares me a little bit. But you know what? Hey, it's Tipico. It's boosted. I'll take it.
I'll tell you this. I think I'm very excited to watch this game. This is going to be Orlando was a good litmus test. The rest of these games here on the road, this little stretch here, Orlando again after Miami, and then you got 2 in Boston. This is going to be a really nice litmus test when you watch them against Portland and you're going, what the hell was that? After I jinxed them and said too much negativity from the fans. I'm excited to see, hopefully I'll be excited to see what they bring in Miami, because you're right, it's never easy there, but it's never easy because Spoelstra in Miami and that culture is just, we ain't going to make it easy. Who knows better than Max Struess now with the Cavaliers?
Is Spoelstra the best coach in the NBA in your opinion?
I think so. Yeah. If I had my choice, I'd go with Spoelstra.
Would you put Pop second?
Pop's kind of losing it these days.
Yeah.
Pop's not the same guy. You know the Spurs only have 2 wins? Spurs
No.
are like 2-18.
They're even worse than Detroit?
I think they're like the same. Let me double check this real quick because I got to end on an NBA note anyway regarding the
2 wins?
the in-season tournament. But yes,
I mean, at least you have Wemby, but that's
the
just
Spurs are 3-17.
okay. Same amount of wins as Detroit, who
Yeah.
are notoriously bad, so can't be great down in Santone,
Okay.
as the natives call
So
it.
here's what I want to know. The in-season tournament has reached its pinnacle. It's LeBron and the Lakers against Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers, and he had another incredible game. Like this is, if anything, if not that people didn't know who he was, but like put him on center stage. Halliburton's incredible. Here's what I want to know, though. Not who's going to win it. What is proper protocol, etiquette for if you win the in-season tournament? Do you hold a parade? Do you raise a banner? Are there banners made? I don't know if there's a trophy presentation. Like, I don't know. Clearly, we know it's not the NBA title, but are teams going to have fun with it? Are they going to take it, oh, no, hey, this was a big deal, and we wanted this, and we got it, and we're going to celebrate a little bit? I mean, I'm kind of laughing with the parade, but, hey, if our boy Reflog can put one together for the winless Browns, maybe if a team wins the in-season tournament, How do you celebrate that? Do you put a banner up, Bohm?
I feel like NBA is going to encourage the putting up of a banner.
Do you march if you're LA or Indiana? Do you march them out?
You have a ceremony for sure.
Game? Yeah, before the game, and they all get their in-season trophy. What would be great is if they're like, all right, now the trophy presentation. What's that? Sorry, we don't have any trophies for this in-season thing, so we're just going to shake everyone's hand.
I mean, everyone that wins is getting $500,000, so I think that's worth celebrating if you're getting a little payday.
Well, I mean,
I know it's all relative, like they're rich already, but still,
yeah,
$500,000 is $500,000, Chico.
$500,000's $500,000, Boom. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious what will happen. Like they could be funny with it. They could really take this and run like a fan, much like our buddy Reflog did, God bless him, with the 0-16 parade. Could somebody have some fun in L.A. or Indianapolis and go, you know what? Damn it, we won the in-season tournament. Let's have a freaking parade.
If it's L.A., I'm going to say no parade. If it's Indianapolis that wins, Indiana, I'm going to say parade. Indiana needs something to celebrate, Chico. LA is just LA, whatever. They got Hollywood and all that stuff. No one's gonna get caught up in those shenanigans. But
got Jimmy Chitwood and the Hoosiers.
Yeah,
Hickory.
But like, I mean, you're bringing a quote unquote title, mid-season tourney title, back to Indiana. Let's throw a parade in Indianapolis.
I think you gotta bring back. You got to see who's alive from that Hickory team and march them in there as well. Make it a
bring them back.
Yeah, make it a huge deal. All right, we are out of time for this Friday. You made it to the weekend. Go Browns coming up on Sunday. Go Cavs tonight. Army, Navy tomorrow. We got some good action. And we will be back with you again on Monday. Hopefully we're talking about a Browns win, and it's Victory Monday. It's been a little while, so we're due for that. I want to say thanks to Eric Edholm, NFL.com and NFL Network. Follow him on Twitter if you're not already. At Eric_Edholm, for Michael Bohm and all of us here at Big Play Sports. I'm Chico Borman. Folks, make it a great weekend. Go Browns. Go Cavs. Hell, go Guardians too. See ya.